Hey, it's Bruce Hill, new skills, new you. I've got some bad news for you. Your introduction is costing you money. All right. Your introduction is costing you money instead of making you money, is costing you money. So, what I want to do is make sure make sure we're sharing the right screen here. How to introduce yourself so it makes sense and people want to hear more. That's our goal for this webinar, workshop, masterclass, whatever you want to call it. At the end of this, 20 minutes. That's sometimes if it's a really complicated conversation, sure, it needs to be 90 minutes, 2 hours. But if I can explain how to have a strong introduction in 20 minutes, then maybe I need to go back to the drawing board. So that's my challenge. Hold me accountable. 20 minutes, we're done. Now, this is where it has all started. I started off and I love doing this live. Maybe one day I'll make some slides. Maybe, probably not though. Started and I created a course called Conversations to Clients. All right. And sometimes I call it turning conversations to clients. Sometimes I call it interested to invoice. You let me know which one you like better. I kind of like this one, but this one's, I love a good alliteration. And the goal was if you were talking to someone, I was curious about what you do, there's a set of questions you could ask for them to begin on clients, right? To them say, hey, send me an invoice. And that was all well and good. Made some people's money, sold a couple copies. So it's great. But there's the step before that, and it's the introduction. How do we get to a conversation? It starts with the introduction. They can't talk to you if they've never heard of you, right? At some point, they have to know that you exist. They have to say, hey, I think this person can help me achieve this problem or avoid this problem. Excuse me, achieve this promise or avoid this problem. So the introduction should be doing three things. It should be clarity, it should be curiosity. Oh, I can type, but I can't spell. And it should lead to a conversation. That's a good introduction. Let's do this. A good introduction. Thanks. All right. So what happens if we don't get this part right? If we don't get the introduction right, we never get to turn that conversation into a client. And that's where it costs you money because your introduction may be complicated. It may be confusing. And just because I love a good alliteration, convoluted. Let's look that one up, make sure we're using the right word. Define convoluted. Thanks, Google. Uh, Extremely complex, difficult to follow. Right? Convoluted. This was a bad introduction. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. It's extremely complex and difficult to follow. So what happens? What do? They walk away. Sorry, that's what's going to happen. Um, they stop listening. Maybe they don't walk away, but they're thinking about their grocery list. Thinking, "Man, I need to buy some luggage for my trip." They change the subject. These are all signs that you've got a weak introduction. That's a poor introduction. And I'm really thankful that y'all are here because I'm just going to make, whether you're watching this 10 years from now or 10 days from now, oh, which by the way, is 15th of June, 2025, be Father's Day. That's how you know. That's how you know. So how do we fix it? That's the question, right? Okay, your introduction is costing you money. Fine. How do we fix it? That's important, right? How do we know we're doing it right? If that's the wrong way, what's the right way? Too many screens over here. That's the wrong way. What's the right way? There's five pieces. Well, actually, let's do this first. Before I show you how to create a strong introduction, here's your checklist. It needs to be clear, it needs to be concise, and it needs to be compelling. Hey, have you noticed something? I love alliteration, and I guess words that start with the letter C are just a great place to start. So you look at this. Clear is the opposite of complicated, right? Or confusing. And maybe we'll say concise is the opposite of complicated, and compelling is the opposite of convoluted. We're gonna add a couple more in here. I'm gonna add confidence, but this is really gonna apply to all three of these. I'm gonna speak clearly with confidence, concisely with confidence, and it's gonna be compelling because of my confidence. So clear. Let's break this down. Clear because easy to understand. To understand is easy to decide. What does that mean? Hey, I'm going to decide, hey, I want to talk to you. I want to decide, hey, this is for me or not for me. And that's okay too. Let's just get to it quickly. Easy to understand is easy to decide. Clear is more important than being clever. It doesn't need to be cute. It has to be clear. Now, if you're both, hey, that's a win-win. But more important, it's got to be clear. They have to get it. So even if they're the wrong person, even if they're not your ideal client, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's how we know it's clear. What do we mean by concise? One of my favorite introductions, like when I speak about my business, I say, hey, my name is Bruce Hill. I make sales simple. That's pretty short. Right? Yours may not be 4 words. My general advice is less than 20 words. And I've actually heard some other folks that say 12 words. I've only seen a few that go over 12. I think it was 16 words, but I think those were the best words. Those were the best words to describe what was happening, what the business was about, why we should care. And so I'm still working on the best way to really explain what I mean by concise. The shortest version, the shortest version I can share with you is, hey, did I say the most information in the fewest amount of words? Did I say the most information with the fewest amount of words? That's really where I want to get to. I don't want to spend extra time, energy, or vocabulary making it my whole backstory, villain arc. I need it to make sense in as few words as possible. That's the goal. So when I talk about concise, I don't want you to get caught up in being short. Let's be efficient. Let's assume the words are expensive. We got to get as many as we can, message out as we can with the fewest number of words. All right. Compelling. I actually like to switch this one out with confidence. Compelling means to move to action. Now, there's no magic set of words that's going to make it compelling, except if they're the right person, it's the right time. To them, perfect example. I told someone, hey, I make sales simple. They said, man, we need to talk to you. We've been making all these calls, but we're not getting any appointments. Less than 5 days later, they were a client. It was compelling to them because it was for them. Now I talked to another guy. He's doing 1.5, 1.6 million a year. It wasn't compelling to him. He needed infrastructure. He didn't need sales. That doesn't make it a bad introduction. That just means it wasn't the right person. And last, but certainly not least, confidence. Do you believe what You were saying, if you don't believe in you, how can I believe in you? If you don't believe what you're saying, how can I believe what you're saying? Remember, this is introduction. I don't know you. I haven't figured out if I want to talk to you any more than I already have. It's not to be rude. You have to understand. Let's go back up to the top here. Maybe I need to highlight these, right? It needs to get clarity, curiosity. That's not it. Let's highlight. Here we go. Boom. And it needs to create a conversation. If you just do all the talking, that's not a conversation. That's a monologue. Like one of the villains from the movie, just talking and make noise. When it's clear and concise, it becomes compelling to the right person when it's delivered with confidence. So at the end, we can either ask a question or in person, when I say, oh, so tell me what you did, right? We'll say, oh, what about you? What are you up to these days? Or we might have a call to action. That says, hey, if you sound like this introduction is for you, go do this step, right? So for me, I say, hey, I make sales simple for startup founders and entrepreneurs. I do it by teaching them one simple skill, and that's how to ask better questions. You are a startup founder, maybe a professional service business that wants to improve your revenue, improve your retention, but doesn't want to be that salesperson we all hate. Visit askingbetterquestions.com. If you go to askingbetterquestions.com, just use code webinar to download that Better Questions Toolkit. That's going to help you make sales simple. Right? Boom. Those call to action. So now, really quickly, hey, I know this is for, I know what it is, I know what I'm going to get. I want to learn more. Now we're getting to the conversation. That's a good introduction. And so even with that example, that wasn't 4 words, but it was the right words. Ooh, that's good. Let's go back up here. Did you use the right words? Okay. So let's go back down here. I'll give you the 5 pieces of strong introduction. First is who. I always love that show. Was it CSI? And the who would start playing like, who are you? Like, who are you? That is actually the least important part. However, this is just how you want them to address you. So if it's Bruce, not Bruce Hill, not Mr. Bruce Hill, just Bruce. I say hi. My name is Bruce. If maybe you're a doctor, you'll say, hey, it's Dr. Maeva Clark, right? So hey, Dr. Clark, right? So you say, hey, I'm Dr. Clark, and you go on. It's not about all your letters or accomplishments or rewards. This isn't the time for that. It's just how do you want people to address you? If they're calling you, hey, Bruce, over here, right? Hey, Dr. Clark, over here. That's how you want people to address you. That's how you introduce yourself. Okay. Boom. What do? I make sales simple. This isn't time for how you do it or why you do it or fill in the blank. Just what is it? Words. That could be, again, up to 20 words. I believe that it shouldn't take you much more than 8, but I've seen 20 work, depending on how complex the idea is. Okay. And again, if you need some help with this, the link to the calendar should be in the YouTube banner section, right? Okay. What do? Who do you help? So sometimes you'll hear I help statement. Not the wrong way to do it. I'm not even saying it's the best way to do it. It's just a different way to do it. Just say, hey, I help startup founders, professional service businesses make sales simple. That's fine. This is just the way I'm teaching you to create a strong introduction. You can use this as a podcast, use it in person, you can use it as an introduction. If you're a speaker, you can set the tone for your workshops. This introduction is versatile, and that's what I want to teach you. It's going to help the most people the most effectively. Then after that, what is the promise? Now, this is a sneak peek from my book. If you haven't got a copy of Better Questions, Better Clients, right? How we increase clarity, confidence, and effective communication using the 4P framework. This is the second P of the 4P framework. If you're like, hey, that sounds pretty interesting, sometimes you ask. You can visit askingbetterquestions.com. And so you have a chance to get that toolkit, the Better Questions Toolkit, but you also have a chance to buy the book if you haven't already. If you have a purchase book, then you should definitely get the toolkit because it's going to expand on some of the things we talked about in there. If you don't have the book, run, don't walk. Okay, so what's the promise? That's the result. That's the outcome. That's the transformation. That's the promise. Okay. And then how does it help me? These two overlap a lot. And then what is, oh, you can spell, but I can't type. What is the problem you solve? Okay, check this out. So I'm going to I'll do it one at a time. My name is Bruce Hill. I make sales simple for startup founders, professional service businesses. I help them hear yes more often, turning more conversations into clients so they spend less time, missed opportunities, frustration, and conversations that go nowhere. Boom, simple. Let's see how many words that is. Let's go here. Tools, format tools, word count. 41 words. So that's what I'm saying. Like if just this part is taking 20 words, you probably have some room for improvement. 41 words should be all of it start to finish. That's not a bad place. If you're at 50 words, it's not the end of the world. If you're at 30 words, hey, that's great. If you're at 100 words, maybe we need to have a conversation. There's lots of specific examples, contexts, situations. So I can't give you a number. Hey, it should be exactly 39 words and never anymore. That's not realistic. However, you have to ask yourself the question, did I use the right words? Was I efficient? Okay. All right. So let's see here. I wonder. Give me one moment. What if I could do like a little side by side? Yeah, that'd be great. Let's go to tools, view, mode. There's a full screen mode. Okay. One moment, please. I really would love to do a side by side so I can mark this up effectively. All right, we'll just roll with it. The first thing, who are you? I'd like to highlight that in, let's say, yellow. Appreciate your patience. That's one thing about doing things live. You have to be prepared if everything don't go smoothly. It just won't go smoothly. Okay. Who are you? Yellow. Again, it's really not important until they know why it's important to them. There's so many times I explain what I do, and then people are like, "Oh, wait a minute, what's your name again?" That's okay. It's not about you. It's about helping them. But you should always introduce yourself briefly. Okay, my name is Bruce Hill. All right, great. Now let's do this part. Let's do green. Is this one's made me oops. This one's made me a few dollars. Um, what do you do? I make sales simple, right? That's going to go here in green. So you're starting to see the different parts lined up. Oh, I'm not looking at the clock. Is that 20 minutes? Well, we're at the home stretch. Who is this for? This is important. If you can't answer this question, it's going to be really tough to find them. Really tough to help people you can't find. That helps you talk to them more effectively. That helps you attract them more effectively. That helps you turn more conversations in a client. If you knew who the conversation is for, you can use their language. You can talk about their problems. You can talk about their promises. And that is essential to a successful business. So, who do you help? Now, this can change if I'm in a room, like shout out to Atlanta Tech Week and the Render ATL. If I'm there, I might say, hey, I help founders. Stop, full stop. If I'm at a BNI event, hey, I help business owners. If I'm at, sorry, Business Networking International. If I'm at Toastmasters, shout out to Toastmasters. I'll say, hey, I help speakers, coaches, and consultants. Right. And even though that's a professional service business, so I'm not changing who I talk to, I'm just changing how I introduce myself to them. Okay? All right, what is the promise? This is so important. A lot of people talk about how they talk about what, but the outcome, we don't emphasize the outcome enough. Now, this is actually two. Um, this is redundant, and I want it to be redundant. I help them hear yes more often is one. Turning more conversations into clients is two. That's the same thing. If I turn a conversation into a client, what does that mean? That means they said yes. It means they signed the invoice. I'm going to overemphasize the promise. I want to be very clear. If you work with me, this is our goal. This is our goal or desired result. This is our transformation. That's the promise. So I'm getting fired up. Now, I'm going to highlight this in red. So what I did was, I'm gonna put this in orange too. I said, hey, what's the promise you hear yes more often? How does it help me? You're gonna turn more conversations into clients. That's the same thing. Be redundant to emphasize a point. All right, so I'm gonna emphasize in red because again, we have to be clear. Okay, well, that's cool. Why am I not already turning conversations into clients? You're spending time in conversations and missed opportunities, increasing frustration. I feel like I can word all this much better. And conversations that go nowhere. So let's do this. So let's say they waste time and miss opportunities. The English teacher's gonna be mad at me because this is crazy run on sentence. And feel frustration. It's gotta be an alliteration. And conversations that go nowhere. That's a little bit more clear. So waste time. I don't want to waste time. I miss opportunities. I definitely don't want to miss opportunities. I feel frustration. I don't want to feel frustrated. These are things they don't want. That's what a real problem is. So I asked someone, and I think I recorded out. I won't chase it down now. I was, hey, how can you help me? What problem do you solve? And she was like, oh, we do websites and social media automation and copywriting. I'm like, okay, well, that's what you do, but that doesn't tell me what problem it solves. And we do this is why I wrote this training, because I see it over and over and over again. If you can get good at this part, you have a strong introduction. So if you don't want this and you do want this, and here's the fun part. All of these are interchangeable. So if someone says, what do you do? I say, hey, listen, I talk to founders like you all the time, and they're wasting time, missing opportunities, feeling frustration from conversations that go nowhere. So what I do is I make sales simple. I help you hear yes more, turn more of those conversations into clients, right? This is interchangeable. That's why I highlighted these pieces. This is how we make a strong introduction. This is how we turn introductions into conversations. And you didn't even realize it. Part of this is the 4P framework I talk about in my book, Better Questions, Better Clients. Because if you look at the format, it's just a set of questions. Better questions are going to get you better clients, and it starts with your introduction. My name is Bruce Hill. There we go. I make sales simple for startup founders and entrepreneurs like you. That's it, over and over and over again. I really truly believe one new skill will change your life. So the skill we're focusing on for all of this year, probably next year, is asking better questions. The questions that you ask yourself are going to give you clarity and confidence and be more effective in communicating to your clients, whether that's our future clients or clients that you want to keep. My goal for you is that each and every video that you share this time, you invest in yourself, is going to put you closer to that goal. Right? If there's something you need to see, just leave a comment, ask a question. Better questions get better answers.